Hello, everyone. Welcome to Second Saturday Satsang, where together we Zoom. We come together in the company of truth. Satsang is a Sanskrit word meaning in the company of truth. So we come together to study spiritual principle together, to raise our vibration, to clear our energy fields, and to be in community. So let us, as we begin, in our individual hearts, begin to invoke and invite our guides and teachers from the higher planes to join us now. Just take a moment to do that in your own way. And we ask for clarity and wisdom and guidance. We bring an open heart. We bring a beginner's mind. And we acknowledge the presence of the masters, the grace of the Guru, the blessings and guidance of Mahavatar Babaji, Satgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. So, to quote a 60s song, I think it was in the 60s, to everything there is a season. Of course, they got that from the book of Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season, and there is a time for every purpose under heaven. I like that last part, the purpose under heaven. These are the words of the third chapter of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, or the Torah. So today we're going to talk about divine timing. Divine timing, that phrase can be kind of seen as an oxymoron in a way, because time doesn't really exist, of course, except as an arbitrary way of marking the Earth's path around the sun. And divine is that which pertains to God or Brahma, or as the Hermetists call it, the all. So by its very nature, the concept of divinity is timeless, of course. So what does it mean, this divine timing? Well, we are, of course, living in our consciousness on the earth plane. And our consciousness is therefore tied to the Earth's time-driven consciousness. The Greek god Kronos, which is the Roman version, or Saturn, which is the Greek, I got that backwards. Yeah, Greek version, and the Roman version is Saturn, teaches us our earthly limitations. And in the Taoist Yogi Christ lineage, Saturn is considered the planet of the disciple. It is the planet of practice. And that's why we're here on this earth plane, to practice. And so we can be divine, right? So that we can clear that which is not divine in our field. So divine timing then is the bridge between time and divinity, isn't it? So when we reach toward the divine, as you know, time seems to stop, doesn't it? Our years on this plane are divided into days and hours and minutes and seconds and moments, but at each moment, it's a point in time that can intersect with the divine, right? And we can live in that moment if we live with the divine, or let me say it a different way, we can live at the divine if we live at that moment, right? Because that's where the intersection is. All of our moments are connected with the divine. Now, in the last few months in these song services and on our meditations, we've really kind of been talking about this in the sense that we have touched on the concept of tuning in to the divine, haven't we? We've talked about receiving guidance from the divine. That is divine. And even last month when we talked about drop it, our purpose was to create a state of mind in which our consciousness is clear enough to receive the divine, right? To attune to it. The stories that our egos tell, of course, they love to tell stories, and who did me wrong, whose behavior and whose thinking is wrong and whose is right, right? These stories that we tell ourselves, they are akin to interference, to static, and they block us from receiving the true signal, if you will, of the God frequency in this moment. So, getting back to time, our consciousness lives in the delineations of time most of the time, and the strictures of time are echoed in the strictures of responsibilities, the responsibilities that we have on the earth plane. And we tend to overlay the two of these by deciding which goals, which smart goals we should work on, right? In which hours of the day, in order, should we do what in order to achieve our time driven, often, sometimes ego driven, let's be honest, goals, right? We read books like this 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, I think that's the title, as if we could have the same purpose as those so-called highly effective, highly successful people. As if we need exactly the same work habits as those people, as if, in fact, those people have defined success as what it really is for us, right? So I'm not actually putting these books down. They do provide a roadmap for us when we are working in the third dimension and where we're completely immersed in it and loyal to the third dimension. They do provide a roadmap. But what I am saying is that we are birthing a new era now. We are being asked to straddle this dimension and the next. Our bodies, yes, are still partially bound by the third dimension, but we are also at the same time being invited to taste the divine. Now, we've all had moments, right, when our consciousness stretches into the eternity, maybe during meditation. But more and more often, I'm finding it's when I'm driving a car on a long trip, or when I'm walking in nature, or when I'm taking a shower, or if you're cooking a meal, whatever. These times have always been available to us. They are available in a moment, in every moment, and they always are divine, and they're always just overwhelmingly scrumptious when we reach them. These moments are sometimes life-changing. In fact, for me, they have been life-changing. They're always memorable. You know the experience I'm talking about. It's when your entire body in your field, in your energy field, feels the presence of the divine in a moment. I have a girlfriend who calls these God winks. They come on us unaware, or at least they have in the past, right? So now in the era we are inhabiting, we're being called to invite those moments, those eternities in a moment where time stops, those trips to the divine that have always been there. They were always there. And the holy men and holy women of all times have been accessing these moments. They've been accessing something, let's call it a frequency, since forever. But now the divine is calling us all to become holy persons. And we are clearing our minds more and more effectively. And by clearing, I literally mean to declutter it. I mean, drop it. Drop the ego stories and tune into eternity. And that brings us back to time, of course. We are accustomed to living in the construct of time. And the intersection of time and divinity, that's what we're calling divine timing. And isn't it interesting that the wisdom of King Solomon, who is believed to have written the book of Ecclesiastes, stands the test of, well, time, right? For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. The purpose of heaven and your relationship to it, our relationship to it, it depends upon the node, if you will, that you occupy in the grid at any given time. And that node, in other words, the relationship between this moment in time, this physical location, your state of being, your knowledge and skills, and what else? The circumstances, right? It depends. This perfect node is perfect for tuning in and being perfect. What is perfect this morning may be totally wrong tonight. That's why the books that have, here's what you do today in these hours, that's where they fall short, right? Does heaven's purpose depend on the hour? No, it doesn't. But the fulfillment of the purpose on earth depends upon all of the pieces, including time, working together. Does it depend on your part? Yes. Does it depend upon the passage of time? Yes, in a sense, in our consciousness, we are in time. You couldn't, for instance, fulfill your adult role in heaven's purpose when you were a babe in arms. And you mightn't be effective, even with all the skills you have now, when the circumstances are not supportive. Each moment is different. Each need is different. We cannot follow a rule book for divine timing. We have to tune in. We have to tune into the divine now and in every moment that we can remember to do it. It's a practice. It's a moving, living practice. It's different from the practices that, like, I get up every morning at 5 o'clock and meditate for an hour. That's a practice and it's wonderful, but this is different. This is a living, moving practice. It doesn't use a roadmap or a list or a goal. It is a constant return to presence every time we can remember to do it. And with that comes a return to willingness and a return to curiosity and a return to devotion. I don't know about you, but when I've had those God winks, when they've happened upon me when I was unawares and suddenly I was filled with God and an epiphany perhaps, during those times, I feel devotion at a level that I don't feel it just when I'm thinking about it. So it's a return also to devotion, which is the most beautiful vibration, isn't it? So it's about inviting that connection time after time after time after time, and learning to live from that place, which is perhaps the very goal of living on earth. Learning to live on that place. It's the goal of living, it's the goal of Chronos, it's the goal of Saturn, I'm sorry, which is the planet of the disciples. It's the goal of us being here is to learn this practice. Now, how do we move from having these winks, God winks as we call them, just happen to us unexpectedly? How do we move from that to actively inviting these moments in our consciousness? Well, it's akin to tuning our radio to the right frequency. If you're old enough to remember AM radios in cars, you'll know that in order to pick up a particular station, you have to be in the right physical location, right? You can't pick up a California station if you're on the East Coast. And B, it has to be the right frequency on the receiver dial. It helps to know where the station lives on the dial, right? KDOW in Palo Alto, California, can be found at 1220 on the AM dial, right? Now, on the old cars, you might have to find that number on the dial first at 1220, and then you might have to fiddle with it to get it just right to pick up that station clearly. So let's use this as a metaphor, as an approach to tuning into the divine. Fortunately, the divine is everywhere. It's actually more like a satellite radio, right? You don't have to keep changing stations as you drive across the country, so that's good. But second, Where are we on the dial? What is the frequency? What is the setting of our receiver? It's easier to tune into a particular station if you already know where it lives on the dial, where it lives on your receiver, right? Well, we then need to check the tuner at the time when we're having a tuned in moment. So when you find that station, you say, oh, let me look at the dial. Let me check the dial and see where I am, right? And what's your tuner? Your tuner is, of course, your body, right? These moments when you're having a God wink, how did you know it? How did you know you were having an epiphany? How did you know that you were having a communication with the divine? You knew it because it was a physical experience. You experienced in your field, in your body, right? So, what if you could, instead of just happening on the right station, what if you could set your dial, your tuner to the right frequency, right? Would that work? Well, I'm here to tell you that I've discovered that it does. And I'm not the first to discover that. But in our meditation today, we're going to find the right station first. And then we're going to check the dial. We're going to check our bodies, our tuners. And we're going to notice what our bodies are doing and how we're holding our bodies, how we're holding our eyes. That seems to be key. Where are you pointing your eyes? How are you holding your hands? Are your shoulders softer than usual? Just notice that when and I'll clue you to do that. For me, I find that if I hold my eyes in a certain way, I can more easily tune into the divine. Isn't that amazing? And I find sometimes that I want to turn up my palms toward heaven while I'm having that experience. It's just something that I want to do. In fact, when I'm meditating, I often find myself overcome with the spirit of the divine. And when I do, I almost always unconsciously really turn my palms facing to heaven as if to receive the divine. Now, I'm not going to write a book on how to hold your body if you're spiritual. No, because I'm going to say, find that divine in your channel, in your receiver, and then notice on your dial, your body. Because as we know, the divinity, we are like a prism through which the divinity shines, and it shines differently in every single prism. So yours may be completely different than mine. So we're going to find that place together. And let's just do that now. So find a place, sitting or lying down, where you are supported for deep relaxation. And remember that God is everywhere. There's nowhere that God is not. I like to think of spirit as the intentions of the Creator occupying all of the spaces between all of the atoms, and in this dimension and in all dimensions. And it is to this, the surrounding, infusing spirit, that I consciously attune. You may experience God differently, and that is perfect too. So, as you close your eyes, you notice that it's very easy to relax. In fact, relaxation is so easy and simple that you notice your shoulders softening, your jaws softening, the muscles around your eyes relax and soften. And now you feel another wave of relaxation slowly washing over you, starting at the crown of your head. Feel it like a warm mist Relaxation washing over your head, your neck, throat, shoulders, arms, and fingers. Your torso experiences the wave of relaxation, front and back and sides. Hips, legs, knees, calves and ankles, feet and toes. And you are so relaxed. Being this relaxed, it makes it so easy to tune into yourself, your center, your true center, which is ever merged with spirit, always connected to divine wisdom. You feel that energy that is you, that kernel of perfection that exists in your consciousness, that is your consciousness, that is wisdom, that is the place from where you're able to see truly, the place from where you are able to know. Experience this self and revel in the sensation of you. Merge with your beautiful self. You are becoming familiar with this way of being. God in eternity, self in eternity. Devotion at its purest. Beautiful. Notice your body now. Take a gentle mental snapshot. How are your eyes positioned? What else do you notice? Softness of your shoulders, perhaps. The openness of your heart. There is a groove, a vibration, a place from which trust itself resides. We are merging into this space, becoming more and more familiar with it, claiming it as your own. It's like melting into the ethers, being one with spirit. To everything, there is a season. and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to plant, a time to harvest. A time to keep, a time to mend, throw away that which you've kept. There's a time to speak and a time to be silent. There's a time to tear apart, and there is a time to mend. The Creator has made everything appropriate in its time, and eternity has been set into your heart and every heart. Presence with the divine is happiness. And there is nothing better than to be happy in our divine activities. This is our true lot in life. In each moment, we attune to what is right for now. Proving spirit, noticing how your body feels, claiming that sensation as your own connection. Bringing your attention fully to your body now as you move awareness to your physical environment. You bring with you the memory of this special vibration, this special way of holding your body. You anchor it in a physical posture. Anchor it in a position of your eyes or the position of your hands or the softness of your shoulders. You choose. Keep that knowledge. Yes. Now take a deep cleansing breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes. To everything, there is a season, and seasons change. And to every person, there is a purpose, and people differ. This practice is a wonderful way to stop comparing one moment to another. Like, what's the matter? This morning I was sharp as a tack. This afternoon I'm dull. Or comparing one person with another. That person is so articulate and well spoken, and sometimes I can barely think how to say something. These comparisons are not useful. What's called for from you in this moment, that's the question. That's all you have to worry about. It's a practice, and this practice bears fruit in its season. It takes possibly time, as we understand time. Sometimes we will forget for hours on end to attune with spirit, and that's okay. Life is what it is. We get busy. And that's why we call it practice too. When we remember, though, we say, thank you, Spirit. and we accept the beauty and grace of this moment's attunement. In time, the practice will bear much fruit, I promise, and it will become more and more part of your way of being until one day you will do what Jesus advised his disciples to do, which is pray without ceasing. Before my father died, I noticed that he was praying without ceasing. And this is how we do it. It's not by saying formulaic words. It's by attuning in the moment to spirit and moving in that groove. So this is the Tao. This is, if we learn to trust our connection to spirit, we can trust our earthly results no matter what they are. Because every moment has its answer. And our holy practice is to align with the movement of spirit in that movement. Thank you. And I do feel my heart aligned with yours in this moment. I love you. Let's spend some time in community. I'm going to go to gallery view. There are so few of us here today. We'll have a lot of time to share individually, so that's good. I put you all on mute, so you will individually have to take yourselves off mute. But let's just go around and talk about how that impacted you, or what you felt or received from that. I'm going to start with Arunadev, since I'm going to go in the order you appeared on the screen. Arunadev?
Well, I relaxed very deeply. I've got, Calliope in my lap, and for the most part, she was
Right there with you
too. And one of the things that I felt, I felt a green light coming in, green healing light that I was receiving and passing on to her. And I noticed that, while I was doing that, she started to move. She had been pretty still before that. Wow. And she started to move because she was feeling it too. So,
wow.
It was,
that's amazing.
It was amazing.
So that is your I want to say hook. That is your way. For me, it's moving my eyes up and to the right. When I look up and to the right, I just connect. With you, it might be imagining that green light. And when you do it, it calls in your light through your prism.
Yeah, I had my eyes raised, not all the way up, but about midway. And that's the way I get into deeper meditation, is by raising the eyes. And also I had my right palm turned up. Normally I'll turn both palms up, but this time I felt like I was receiving through my right hand and passing on to her through my left hand.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Our little girl, Calliope, has been very sick this week. And so she's much better now, but she's been very sick. And so we've been putting a lot of healing on that girl. But that's beautiful. I really love that green light, because, I want to say one thing real quickly. Munishwarji, when I watched him meditate, he always rolled his eyes back in his head. And I thought, oh, I need to do that too, so I can feel what he feels. Didn't work for me. I tried it so many times, just didn't work for me. And then eventually I noticed my own, I'll call it a hook. That's not a good word for it, but is like, oh my God, is when I'm looking like this to the right and up. And that's for me, when I feel, that's when my body is attuned. So you can't do it like everybody else, but you can find your own, right? So let's see, Aditi, what did you experience? We'll go on and come back to her. She may be away from the camera for a minute. Vishvala.
Good morning. How are you guys? It's been it was amazing. Your talk really hit home to a lot of things that I've been coming to, and I just came back from Hawaii a little bit ago, and it was profoundly life-changing. And one of the things they talk about with the eyes is to go into something called hakalau, where you soften your gaze looking forward, but you expand your vision out to the sides a little bit. So almost you're looking more in the periphery, and it softens your eyes. And I find that in a waking state, when I get into hakalau, I'm just much more in the receiving mode. So it's not exactly like where your tuner is, but when you were talking about that, I definitely realized that like hakalau for me turns the radio on, say like I'm looking for that station, and then whatever comes in comes in. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because it was amazing to me. So I've been trying much more in my day to be in hakalau with the dishes, be hakalau with the vacuum, be hakalau during my work. So my computer screen's there, but I'm almost not focusing on it. My key, you know, where the keys go, and I'm just in that other's receiving state. And I think it's because the trip is still fresh with me, you know, and but I love what you were talking about because it really applies to how the next step of putting it in the idea of God winks. So for me, when my eyes are closed, I try and put a white light through me and fill me up with a white light, and then they do something called ho'oponopono, where you imagine a stage, and then you send from your heart this energy to people that you've touched mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. And then you forgive them for any wrongs you may have done them. And then they do it for you. And then you cut the connection with a sheet of light, and they take their energy back. You take your energy back. It gets you what's called pono, or balanced. So I did that really quick before you started the meditation, because now before I do any meditations, I try and right any wrongs beforehand in my body. And then I just am up more for the receiving mode. So I whipped through that really quick. And then I just was right there with what you were talking about. And I just kept the white light going through, because the white light's a version of my higher self going through. And so I tried bringing more of my higher self into my body. And it was just lovely. It was just lovely. And I just kept on thinking, I can do this the rest of my day. Like I can be in this state as the rest of the day. I can have a totally higher vibration the rest of my day, or the rest of my life, you know. Right. And the idea of touching in with it and being forgiving when I'm more in the thick of my consciousness and not paying attention, that I can just forgive myself and then just back out and just live it. Because I am definitely going to transform my life over this summer with you guys, and doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I really appreciate today. So thank you.
I love that. It's so synchronous, isn't it? Because
yeah,
I always say that religions get started when somebody says, here's how you do it, and here's how I did it, and here's how you do it. And from then on, it becomes it's like, it's more about doing the steps than it is to achieve the thing. And
like
so
autopilot.
Yes. And so I love the synchronicity of this, because these are all just metaphors. Yes. They're all just metaphors. And that what you're looking for is the experience. And the experience can be found in different ways and in different religions and different practices. And sometimes a practice doesn't resonate with you and it can't be found, but you spend your whole life in it, following the rules, you know? And so that's yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love how synchronous that is, that you just, had that. And in fact, NLP, which is, I know, a part of what you're studying, is where I first learned the idea that your body and your mind and your mood are mutually effective, so that you
Yes.
can smile and be happier because you smile. You can go like this and start to feel depressed. I mean, your body not only reflects how you feel, it actually has a causal component as well. So I love that. That's what clued me into starting to look for the cues and looking backwards.
Well, and and you allowed me to just take it to just a whole different level with your talk today. So I'm glad you recorded it.
Good.
I'm so tickled.
Well, the other thing too is my meditation this month is this meditation. So you can go on. Sorry, I'm so vain. I keep looking in the mirror here. You can go on the Temple of the Inner Self. And it's for a month, it'll be the meditation that is there, or you can always go to the All One Piece YouTube channel and it will be there. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you can listen to it every night for a week if you want. So that it's kind of, in fact, that's why I did the meditations, is because I needed to do that myself. I needed to practice, and it gave me.
Oh, so you guide yourself. That's lovely. That's really lovely.
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Every night before I go to bed, sometimes I do that. So I pick
That's
one
nice.
to do that. Yeah. So, Aditi, are you back to your camera? Are you back to your not camera, microphone? No. Okay. All right. So let's just go on to Prasad. What is your experience of this?
Hi, everybody. Sorry that I was a few minutes late, but I think I got in the right moment because it's so synchronicity. I think that it makes me, this meditation, it made me clarify something that happens to me this week. And of course, it's had to be at work. It made me realize why things happen. And God made this event happen so I can level myself, down myself to where I need to be. I was trying to please people so hard that it was taking me to a level that I don't belong. It was taking me out of my being. So the event that happened, it wasn't a nice event, but it took me to react in a way that I felt today in this meditation that that's what happened, because I need to go to my level. I need to be on my station. So I'm so glad that even though I was late, I was in the right moment. Thank you, Indira. And it's just like, I said, oh, he has been in my mind. And I said, okay, I need to let it go because he was not on my station. Now I know how to be myself without being influenced by all these people trying to please them.
Yes, yes.
So,
Prasad, that makes my heart
so much better.
Say that, because it tells me something about where you are in your sadhana, and it makes my heart sing. One of the, I think the single, well, it's hard to say the single one, but it was one of the greatest turning points in my life, was when I began to realize that everything happens for a reason, and that reason has to do with me and not just my surroundings, but has to do with me, that the compassionate universe is trying to teach me something. And in fact, Tony Robbins, who I met many, many years ago in the 80s, and he first said, he called it, and I never liked this phrase, but he called it the useful lie. He said, if you believe something is happening for a reason, then you order your life as if that's so. Then if you do that, then you're always looking for an opportunity. In every situation, you're always looking for an opportunity, because you believe that. You decide to believe it, and you believe it. And so I didn't take away his phraseology, but I took away that belief, and I decided to believe it. And it was one of the single greatest turning points of my life when I started to believe that, because I started to look for and see that God was in every situation. So that is just awesome. That just makes my heart sing, Prasad. I'm so happy to hear
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are just coming along. You're zipping along.
Yeah.
I'm going to try one more time to get IDT if she is in her microphone, but I guess maybe she had to go away. So we won't have her. Well, anyway, what else does anybody want to talk about? What's going on in your life that you would like to share?
I'm looking forward to talk to Beth because we exchanged some texting, and I'm looking forward to learn more about her experience that she just had.
I was just going to say that, Prasad. So Prasad and I did try and text this week, and then I didn't know if I should initiate or you. So maybe we could just talk after this, right? But I did ask her for nutritional advice too, because I'm finding that the body I'm carrying right now doesn't really serve me the way I wanted to. So I just really need to change my eating habits and clean it up. And anyway, Prasad and I are going to communicate about that.
Yeah.
So that'll be great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have all done a blueprint with Samyama, but when the Huna was on the thing, I just can't even tell you how much it, there's an aspect of connecting to the elements that was very new and profound to me. And then there's different things, the way he talks about it, and he connects the mind, body, spirit, or I should say body, emotions, mind and spirit together in a way that's really like it doesn't take away from anything you've learned in the past, and everything just makes it fuller. It was just profound. So I don't know. I would love to share it if you want to, Prashant. So.
I think that's a sign when something doesn't take away but adds to it.
He's impeccable.
Yes. I remember the first time short synopsis, I became an atheist because I thought God was what I was raised with. And I thought, I don't want to do that. And so as time went on, I began to awaken, and God came to me, and I began to say, well, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not there. But I had to drop all that crap so that I could be awake. But I went to hear Marianne Williamson back in 1989, I think it was. It was before she was famous and before she'd written any books, and she was doing these weekly. And I thought, oh my God, everything she says, it's like, now that I know what Jesus meant. Now I know what the Bible meant. Now I know. It's like all that stuff I threw away, I had to throw away, but it's like, okay, there's truth there. And I'm glad now that I had that background because there's truth there, but it didn't mean what I thought it meant, So it's just that Huna thing to open up like that, to make everything you already know more resonant and more true is just, that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's funny because it's very old, right? So it's really old energy, and it's very primal, and it's kind of before, like, so I chant a lot. Like I was labeled bipolar 15, 20 years ago, and I agreed with them. I don't know. And then I found that I could chant. I was really getting into the Hindu chanting and the chanting of God names that way. And I'd listen to the music all the time. So it was constantly running through my subconscious. I mean, I've been doing this for like 20 years now, right? And I knew that level. And then their chants are very different. And it was so funny because I thought, like, I walked in there like, oh, I'm a chanter. And then I thought, oh, I don't know anything. Like it was just so funny. It was just, yeah. And then once I dropped a lot of ego, I dropped a lot of anger. I dropped a lot of, I would wish if anybody wanted to do that or want to know more about the Huna, that you could contact either Jeannie or I and know about it, because it is 9 days that I think are going to right now are some of the most pivotal in my life. Yeah.
Wow. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm going back in September. I'm going back in September.
You
There's
are?
4
Wow.
levels of it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
I
amazing.
gotta make that happen. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. I'm so glad to hear that, because I've been considering going there myself. So, and I think
Yeah.
Orlando has too.
Oh, I hope you guys do, like, consider it a vacation for yourself, even though it's tiring. It was like, I'm so refreshed. I came back to, like, I was working 10-12 hour days at work. I came back, I'm still working 8 to 10 hour days, I guess, but I'm refreshed. I'm really positive. I'm just doing the work. I'm like, oh, that's just work. That's what I'm doing right now until I choose to do something else. And I don't know. I got back a lot of power. Just a profound.
Incredible.
Wow.
Wanted to share that this week I'm going with my son to Arizona, to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, nice.
And our Tai Chi Sharefu told us to practice Tai Chi over there so we can have that connection with the spiritual side of the Grand Canyon. Because if you look back, the people who first lived there to look for a place that hasn't been commercialized, so we can have that spiritual connection with the place. So we're going to try and do that and have that.
I don't remember to
awaken
ask you next
that
month, tell
experience.
us about that. If I don't remember to ask
Yes.
you, be sure to tell us about that. I would
I
am so
will.
interested
Yeah.
in hearing about that. You know, the other thing I was going to say, and it's tags back to what you were talking about, your body and food. As you progress in your sadhana, you will get your frequency, your vibration will change. It becomes higher, and when it does, your body says, I don't want this stuff in my body anymore. You'll start to detoxify.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel that great, but if you continue to feed it higher and higher vibration food, then you will, your body will agree with you better. It just will. And so you'll find that I think you'll become more and more sensitive, which some people might think is a negative, but it's actually not. Your body is trying to tell you something. It's trying to say, this high vibration that we're wanting to achieve is over here and you're over here. So come on. And, it's just not, it's not compatible with pizza. I'm not saying never, ever. I'm just saying that can't be the way that we, it's just not compatible. Yeah. Because you'll feel bad.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It's a relationship that you're going to build with the way you eat.
Well, we're just going to have
to
create something.
It's not true, because there are days that you say, I wanted to eat that, and I wanted to eat that because I want to feel the taste.
Yes.
And then after you eat it, of course, guilt starts setting in, but the physical symptoms are coming in. I have a arthritis maybe on my hand, and when I do those mismatching, I can feel it. And 2 or 3 days after that, when I go back to the way that I need to eat, they go away. So it's so true that it's just,
me too.
We pay for it when we go.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah, me too.
Well, it's funny you say that. So sometimes I used to want to eat like a pint of ice cream, or I'd get like Ben and Jerry's and I would mood eat, and now I can buy Ben and Jerry's, but I can just have like a spoonful or two and I get the taste out of my mouth, and and I'm satisfied, and I've learned to put it away like really quick, or I don't know. So what I'm really noticing is about habits, and like I went there, and energetically, I'm sure I cleansed a lot of things out, and I came back here and I had to make sure that I just didn't fall back habits. That was and that's why I'm really grateful to be end up talking to you. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to check one more time with Aditi and see if she is at her microphone so she can check in with us. And if not, I want to go ahead and do our usual, unless anybody else has anything to say, which is fine. I want to leave space for that. Okay. So I'm using the Osho Zen Tarot again today. And I don't know if that's backwards, but anyway, I'm going to pull a card and I'm going to ask Spirit to help me find the right card for everybody, for the energies that are at play this week in our lives. What is good advice? Thank you, Spirit. We are the world. Wow. This is the card. It's beautiful. It's a 10 of rainbows, which is the 10 of, it's, if you are familiar with the tarot, with the regular tarot, the 10 of rainbows is the same as the 10 of pentacles. And so I'm going to find that on 56 and read it. Ten of Pentacles, it says, we are the world. I'm going to hold that up there. When thousands and thousands of people around the earth are celebrating, singing, dancing, ecstatic, drunk with the divine, there is no possibility of any global suicide. With such festivity and with such laughter and with such sanity and health, with such naturalness and spontaneity, how can there be war? Life has been given to you to create and to rejoice and to celebrate. When you cry and weep, when you're miserable, when you're alone, when you celebrate, the whole existence participates with you. Oh, I'm sorry, let me say that. When you cry and weep, when you are miserable, you are alone. When you celebrate, the whole existence participates with you. Only in celebration do we meet the ultimate and the eternal. Isn't that perfect for this week? Only in celebration do we go beyond the circle of birth and death. Wow, that is so perfect for this week. I can't believe it. That's exactly what we've been talking about. It's another way, it's another metaphor for exactly what we've been talking about, celebrating, finding ways to celebrate and be with the people of the earth, singing, dancing, thousands and thousands of people celebrating, drunk with the divine. I love it. I love it. So that is it for today. I will, this will be posted on the Temple of the Inner Self website, as will, as I said, as will the meditation for this month that you will find there, on the front page. So may your higher selves be activated. May your souls affect all your decisions. May the light be compassionate to you and to your karmic path, and may God's will be done. Satguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai.